Well, let's move on now with a look through the front pages of the French newspapers this Thursday morning with Nicholas Rushworth. Hi there, Nicholas.
Hi, Karen.
And we're going to start off with some electoral affairs.
Well, it's this whole question of the French departmental elections, which are local elections that will take place later this month. And that's small fry, you would think, really, wouldn't you, Catherine? But let's look at the headline for Le Figaro this Thursday, which is saying the ruling socialists are fearing a historic defeat. Now, what we've got here is, just the run-up now, building up in terms of the campaign. The party last year suffered a real hammer blow with the municipal elections. The quote in that front page from Le Figaro is from a ministerial aide who says, "We are going to get a very big slap."
And a bit of a big slap in Le Figaro's editorial as well.
Well, yeah, to drive that point home, the editorial is really striking in Le Figaro this Thursday, saying that is the Socialist Party in France on the road to extinction? Is it going to go the way of the dodo? It points out that that party that we saw in Greece for many, many years, that was PASOK, that was in power for so long, has gone from 43% of the vote to 5% in the space of 5 years. Could the Socialist Party in France be another PASOK, which is very striking as an argument.
Not really the same economic situation here as in Greece.
That was my reaction as well, but that's Le Figaro drawing that comparison, which is very striking. There it's saying the Socialists have lost the Senate, the control of most cities, and will lose now majorly in the departmental vote. And we'll see the same thing again in the regional elections in France at the end of the year.
Okay, well, one thing that might perhaps come as a surprise to some of our viewers is that one of the headaches for the government, it's linked to some companies news that we've had this week. We're talking about the French nuclear giant Areva. Just explain why their problems are affecting the government.
Well, Areva is the French nuclear group owned by the state. Mostly 87% of that group is owned by the French government, and they've had 8 billion euros of losses over 4 years. Your jaw drops at that, frankly. And there, Les Echos, the main business paper, has got that as its top news, saying that the government now is really wanting EDF, the state electricity company, to sort of tie up with Areva to try and fix some of the holes in the business operations. So the Prime Minister, Manuel Valls, promoting the idea of tie-ups between EDF and Areva. Valls saying, "I will do all I can to prevent layoffs." Let's turn to L'Opinion, which is one of the main right-wing papers in the country. There you can see a cartoon of Michel Sapin in that picture. He is the finance minister, isn't he, looking somewhat forlorn. And the headline there saying, we've got the mirage of state ownership here, because how can the socialist government think that they can run a nuclear power group in such a competitive sector, which it is now, of course. Total contrast, Kat, with L'Humanité, the far-left paper. Let's go and have a look at their front page there. You can see saying, well, hold on a minute, it's not for the workers to pay for management mistakes. Areva is going to be broken up, isn't it? And it slams the lack of long-term vision. And it says, for 15 years, this socialist government, though the governments in charge of running Areva, have not been involved with the hands-on management. And that's to blame. So radically opposed views there.
Very different views, like you say. Let's move on to another story now. We're talking about the kosher supermarket here in Paris that was one of the places attacked back in January. They're moving on from tragedy and looking forward to the future.
Well, we saw in early January, didn't we, those horrific series of attacks in Paris and the whole climate of fear that took place then and has been present in the country since. Le Parisien, aujourd'hui en France, is reporting that Hyper Cacher, the store at the Porte de Vincennes, it's on the city ring road here in Paris, isn't it? That will open again. That was where Amadi Koulibaly killed 4 people on the 9th of January. The manager at the time of the attack said, "I will never set foot in that store ever again. I'm leaving. I'm going to Israel."
You wouldn't blame him, would you?
No. The employee of Malian origin who put all the people in the cold store and saved them and was really a hero, will, the paper says, be back at work. So hats off to him, of course.
Probably get quite a lot of visitors going along to shake
Yeah,
his
one of the
hand,
store's customers says that, listen, that store has to reopen. It has to be back at business, because what would that mean? The terrorists would have won somehow. So that story pretty much figuring in other parts of the press as well. We've got the front page of 20 Minutes, the freebie commuter paper, saying the army and the police are now à bout de force. They're absolutely exhausted, Catherine. From that point in January when the attacks took place to now, what is it, over 2 months, they've been working round the clock, guarding more than 800 key sites, police and military, and we see them, don't we, when we go around Paris. It's an extraordinary sight to see that continually day after day. And that will continue. That 20 Minutes there reporting the Vigipirate, this high-security protection system in place, which is at maximum alert, that will continue for several more months. So we've got something quite striking in terms of those images of security around Paris.
Indeed. Thanks very much, Nick Rushworth. We'll be back a bit later on with a look through the international papers for us as well.